Hi there and welcome to a new episode of Extreme Banding, the slow YouTube camera channel dealing with various photographic nightmares. I am living in one of them right now, December in the north of Sweden. Weather is so-so and the sun never rises. There's no time or place for photography. So what can you do? Think about which all-mechanical rangefinder camera with a cost below 1,000 euros you would like to use for the rest of your life, perhaps. So here we are with the Leica CL, designed by Leica and manufactured by Minolta in 1973. Smaller than the other Leica M cameras, this also has an M mount. It is a very nice design. It is considerably smaller in width. It is about the same thickness as the Leica M's, tiny bit shorter. Vertically, it has the strap lugs on the side, just like the Leica M5, which I think is the best place, since your hand is not disturbed on this side. The shutter speed dial placed here could be in the way, but actually it works just fine. A lever wind. This one is actually very nice to wind. And as you see, it has a metering arm in there, which also has some drawbacks, but nonetheless you need a battery adapter for it to work perfectly, but they are available, and there are a lot of Leica CLs that have been modified to work with newer batteries. So you have metering there. I haven't tried metering on this one because the Leica CL is fully mechanical camera. Only the light meter depends on the batteries. So the speeds and everything work just fine otherwise. And shutter speeds are from half of a second up to 1,000 of a second. It really has almost everything you could wish for if you don't like the other small Leicas. The bottom comes off completely. Here you've got a nice, whatever you call it, plate to make the film lay really flat. And film loading is of course very easy. You stick the end of the film here and you wind it on like that. Really easy. The rewind crank, very easy to rewind the film and very discreet. So design wise, I think this is a really good camera. Since the rangefinder base is so short, you also don't have to worry about it. That's why they could place this shutter speed dial here in the first place. So that helps with the ergonomics. Of course, the short distance here, effective base, is about 18 to 19 millimeters, and that actually theoretically should be enough for a 50 millimeter f1.4. Almost every 35 millimeter in existence, as well as 90 millimeter f4.5 in theory, but that should at least let us with confidence shoot wide lenses. Frame counter, of course, as was standard. The viewfinder window is square, so you can't use other Leica attachments here. Viewfinder is nice. You have parallax corrected frame lines. It is a bit dull though compared to the best viewfinders, but all in all I don't think you can find any fault in it. If you haven't used any other, it's gonna look perfectly fine, and it is better than all of the Canons. And you have frame lines for 40, 50 and 90 millimeters. One of the things that I found really nice about this camera was the shutter sound. It is very silent. We should put a lens on. This is a screw mount lens with adapter. And this shutter is so silent, and winding is silent, so it's a very discreet camera. I think the shutter sound is perhaps the most discreet of all the Leica cameras I have tested. Almost like a leaf shutter camera. So, a lot of positives. Measurements 120 millimeter wide, 78 millimeter high and 32 millimeters wide. That makes it less wide than the Barnack. It is 1 centimeter taller, and as it is not a bottom loader, it is about 2 millimeters thicker. So, of course, speaking of how it is to hold, this one I think is much nicer. Well, you have more space here, and the width of the camera doesn't affect portability much. But this is a camera without all the modern stuff that are actually pretty nice in this one. It is not the smallest of rangefinders, but it is very small and it is very light. The main drawback, I would say, besides the fact that you have 40 and 50 together, it's a little bit cluttered, and the 40mm frame line to the right isn't as clear as it is the same as the aperture value line. The 50mm frame lines are easy to see the area around them. The 40 is also okay. Here's the viewfinder of the Leica CL, and you can see the 50 and 40mm frame lines here, and they are parallax corrected. As I told you earlier, here it's pretty wide, this metering line, but otherwise the 40mm frame lines are pretty easy to see. So a nice viewfinder. It would have been nice if they could have added something wider in there as well. Maybe they would have had to lessen the magnification some, but I think it would have been all right. You know, you have the Minolta CLE, the follow-up to this one. Almost everything about this that's not perfect has been improved with that one. But that one is not a mechanical camera in the sense that this one is. If the electronics fail on the Minolta CLE, the camera is unusable. And so you would still need an external finder for optimal experience when using a wide-angle lens, like a 28 or a 35. And the coverage of the frame lines is also pretty low, about 80%. The good thing is everything that's in the frame will make the photo, but you know, you lose a little bit of film compared to your composition. But the main drawback, I think, there's of course the metering arm, but there's also a lot of metal stuff in here around the shutter that makes it impossible to mount deep lenses, such as this one, for example, the Jupiter 12, but you know, that goes for the Biogon original, of course, and collapsibles such as this one, such as the classic Elmar, which would be perfect on this type of camera, since it has, you know, very good frame lines for 50mm. It is small, but you can't collapse them all the way. You can use collapsibles such as this super lens, the Heliar, but it's just not as compact. I have not used it for a long time, just shot a roll of film, so I can't speak for how it works in the long run. But it should be okay. It feels very sturdy, at least. That's the Leica CL. Very good camera.